Your forecast with Storm Tracker Live.
A lot of sun across the Wiregrass today. It's been hot in many locations, though right now temperatures have dropped down into the upper 80s here in Dothan, 89 degrees, and it's going to remain mild throughout tonight. We'll still be in the 80s by 7 o'clock, 85 degrees, and then by tomorrow morning we'll start off the day at 68 degrees, and we'll have some storms in the forecast. We'll talk about that coming up, but first, WDHN News at 6 starts right now.
First in local news, this is WDHN News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Presley. Thank you for joining us. The Health Department has a warning for you tonight. A mysterious respiratory illness has hit southeast Alabama. So far, 2 people have died and 5 more are in the hospital, 1 in intensive care. WDHN's Jamise Price has been following the story today. She has more. Jamise, are there any links to these cases?
Kevin, they all shared the same respiratory symptoms of fever, cough, and shortness of breath. These symptoms are pretty common during this time of year with allergies, but now health officials are urging anyone in the community experiencing all 3 of these to contact their doctor.
Certainly not an epidemic. I want to make that perfectly clear, okay? We do not have an epidemic on our hands at this time.
But it's just as scary, and that's because no one knows exactly what this illness is and how people are getting it. The first case dates back to April, but it wasn't brought to the attention of the state's Department of Public Health until last week. Health officials are trying to determine who may be at risk.
We've had several young, middle-aged, and then we've had a case, and we're talking about different severity of illness. We've had several cases, and we've had an elderly person. So right now we can't get a general denominator on who might be highest at risk.
Today, medical leaders from the state and county health departments issued a statement warning the community and medical professionals about this illness.
ADPH and CDC have recommended the hospital use respiratory precautions, which includes staff using N95 masks.
They're asking that anyone experiencing shortness of breath, running a fever, and coughing to seek medical attention. And because it's a respiratory illness, it could be contagious. But medical professionals say there is little evidence that shows it is.
If easily spread, we'd have a lot more contacts, family members, coworkers, people that they work with or traveled with and things of that nature. We would be seeing more ill folk. I would suggest that it's not easily transmitted, but we can't tell you that for sure.
So far, the only cases of this illness is here in South Alabama. It's speculated these cases could be H1N1, what we commonly know as swine flu. Health officials couldn't say if that's the case here. They're still awaiting lab results from the state and CDC. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or concerns, you're asked to contact your medical provider or the nearest health department. Kevin?
Okay, Jamise, thanks. A Dothan woman has been arrested for abusing and torturing her young child. The victim is under the age of 10. Documents show 28-year-old Camille Dorrit Fields is accused of biting her child. People at the school the child attends saw the bite marks on the youngster's face and notified authorities. Police and the Department of Human Resources investigated, and that led to the arrest of Fields. The care of the child now under the supervision of DHR. A man died in Dothan late last night as a result of a traffic wreck. A pickup truck driven by 52-year-old Stephen Johnson of Tennessee ran a stop sign and plowed into a tree. The accident happened at the intersection of Webb and Ennis Roads. That's about a mile outside Ross Clark Circle on the east side of Dothan. Johnson was alone in the truck. The residents of Moore, Oklahoma are trying to recover and clean up today, a day after a monster tornado flattened much of their town. That is, the death toll is now revised to 24, as well as the strength of the tornado up to an EF5. ABC's Marcia Gonzalez is in Moore.
Debris waves in the trees like a white flag of surrender. This small community of Moore, Oklahoma, nearly flattened by a tornado of unthinkable size and power.
It was really scary. I thought I was going to die there for a while. I just, laid in there and on the ground and held my dog close to me and just waited to see what was going to happen.
As the skies darkened and hail began to fall, students at Briarwood Elementary School huddled in hallways and bathrooms.
I had to tell them this is not a drill. and we need to be safe, and just laying my body on top of as many kids as I could.
All of the children at Briarwood survived, but just 5 miles away at Plaza Towers Elementary, a more dire scene. Only a sole blackboard sticking out from the rubble. Officials say at least 7 children died there, and many more are still missing. The storm that tore apart families, ripped homes to shreds. Debbie Guidry, her husband, and a neighbor heard the sirens and took shelter here in their cellar, emerging after to find this.
This is our garage here. That where the fireplace is was our living room.
Was all that was left behind.
It's just a house. It was my house for 31 years, but it's just a house. And we got to come out together, and that's what's most important.
A family, a community together through yet another dark day.
Many of the residents here saying they got through that huge, deadly tornado that hit this area in 1999. They will get through this. President Obama has already promised federal aid money to help, and the director of FEMA is already here. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Moore, Oklahoma.
Governor Bentley says Alabama will help those affected by the tornadoes. He says he's been in touch with Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin. The governor also said that many states helped Alabama rebuild after the deadly tornadoes that hit in 2011, and we are ready to do the same.
You know, volunteers are some of the most important parts of getting over a disaster and getting through the difficult times. So as we look back on April 27th, we see how many people came in to help Alabama, and I know that number will also go to Oklahoma.
The Alabama Emergency Management Agency is prepared to coordinate all resources that Oklahoma may request. People in Enterprise are among those ready to help, as they know all too well what it's like to go through a tragedy like this, especially teachers and students who were inside the high school when a major tornado ripped through 6 years ago. WDHN's Katie Kroll spoke with some today who are struggling with some painful memories. She's in the studio now. Katie.
A haunting flashback. That's how many people I spoke with describe watching the Moore tornadoes. Yet they're amazed at how far they've come in 6 years, and they hope they can lend the same hand that was lent to them.
The hardest part, for me was to watch those first responders going through that building trying to find those students, because to me it looked exactly the same.
Enterprise teacher Heather Mitchell says seeing the footage from Moore is like reliving March 1st, 2007 all over again.
I was so broken, and I know that that is how they feel in Oklahoma. I mean, the day I walked out of Enterprise High School on March 1st, I remember looking around and thinking, oh my gosh, the whole town looks like this. There's no one to come help us.
But help did come, and the community healed. But they will never forget that day. And now they want to lend a hand to those in need.
I just always wish that we could get some of our teachers to go to wherever these places are and speak with some of their teachers, just to justify some of their feelings and to be shining examples of, that while it's not easy, that you can get through this.
6 years later, they are stronger and feel compelled to help.
Everyone at the Enterprise High School graduation that's attending, we're going to have our Wildcat representatives at the front of each entrance with buckets. If they can make a monetary donation, we're going to send those dollars to a responsible organization that will assist those affected by the Moore, Oklahoma tornado.
Now, as you heard, they will be collecting donations at their graduation this Thursday night. Also, if you'd like to send a card, you can do that to Enterprise High School, and they will get it to Moore, Oklahoma. We'll have more on that on our website at dothanfirst.com. Kevin?
Katie Kroll reporting for us tonight. Thanks. SafetyNet has launched a free weather app for residents of Alabama. The app is part of a program set up by the state with Barron Services out of Huntsville. Barron is a popular weather systems company. The two created the partnership after the deadly Alabama tornado outbreak of April 27, 2011. The new app can be downloaded through the Google Play Store or for Android users, or the Apple App Store for iPhone users. For complete information, you can just go to our website, dothanfirst.com. A bill to mandate written tests for young motorcycle riders failed to make it through the state legislature. Lawmakers went home for another year without passing such a bill. The measure would have required a written test for motorcycle riders between the ages of 14 and 18. This marks the third year the bill authored by Representative Alan Farley has failed. A measure that would require the state's welfare recipients to be drug tested died during the final night of the legislative session. The bill sailed through the Senate, but it did not get a vote from the House. The bill would have only required those welfare recipients who've had drug convictions within the past 5 years to be drug tested. The first time that person tested positive, they would get a warning. A second positive testing would result in that person losing benefits. Many people in Dothan supported the measure, and they're disappointed it failed.
I actually think it's a good idea because there's people that actually deserve the benefits, that use it the right way, and then you got people that use it the wrong way, of course with drugs and stuff, and I don't think they should get it. Yeah, I think they should keep pushing toward it because, I mean, there's a bunch of people that think it's unfair.
Mr. Dow.
Florida is one state that drug tests welfare recipients. The U.S. Senate is expected to take up the Farm Bill sometime this week, and one of the big items being considered, crop insurance cuts. The Obama administration has asked for cuts of almost $100 billion a year over 5 years. The administration is also asking for more cuts to farm subsidies. Cuts to the food stamp program are also expected to be a hot topic during the Farm Bill debate. GOP House members want a 3% cut. The Senate leadership has indicated they want cuts, but not as much as the House is pushing for. Coming up, with more money in the education budget, there could be more room in Alabama's future first-class pre-K program. We'll have that story coming up.
We will be tracking some storms tomorrow evening. We'll talk about that in the full forecast coming up.
First in local news, you're watching WDHN News at 6 with Kevin Presley, meteorologist Scott Roberts, and sports with Josh Woltenberg.